It is Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at Factor. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, intern Tommy along for the ride as well. It is hump day as Plouffe joins us once again from New York as the Twins continue their set up in the boogie down against the New York Yankees. We will get to that momentarily, but we start off with a little tip of the cap and actually a pair of them. First one had me chuckling because you know who was in the booth up at Fenway Park.
From one side of the play, this is yours, this is mine.
Smith with a high deep drive, left field, carrying back, it goes.
See?
That is gone.
That's what happened when Puppy's in the building. Winner, chicken dinner.
I got it didn't work because the Braves beat him and Max Fried had a career high 13 strikeouts, but it was very funny, Plouffe.
It is. He's got great energy, and him working a Red Sox booth is kind of perfect. But you have to be winning for Big Papi, I think, to work in the booth. I don't know how he would do if they're like losing the game and having a really bad game.
Yeah, I don't think a season full of Papi with like a 500 team or worse would work great, but it's always fun to see him hop up there. Another tip of the cap to Mason Wynn, who's really had a nice season for the St. Louis Cardinals. As a shortstop. He grew up going to ball games in Houston. So he had a ton of family there last night. He went deep in a loss against the Houston Astros. The thing that really caught me was afterward he said his grandfather was there and he had not seen him play baseball in person. I'm not talking about at the professional level. He thought that maybe he had seen him as a kid, as like a little leaguer, and that was it. When I heard that, I almost wanted to cry, dude.
It's awesome. I mean, that's what it's kind of all about, especially if your family there, your parents, but the grandparents, when you get to the big leagues, a lot of them are a little bit older. They don't like to travel as much. And I think that's just a very special moment for him and his family for sure.
Yeah, so a pair of tips to the cap right there. Let's get it going today. It's the reason I'm wearing the White Sox cap, trying to give them some good juju here. I know they're an arch rival of my favorite team, Cleveland, but man, it is ugly. And the way they lost a 12th straight game on the north side of Chicago, it was ugly. They were up, I think, 5-0. Then the rains came. Then it all went terrible. And our buddy Ian Happ with a 2-run double to give the Cubs the lead in the 8th inning. So now the Southsiders have lost 12 in a row. This came just hours after our good friend Jeff Passan from ESPN came out with a list of teams that are definitely going to trade, most likely to trade, teams that are going to be buyers, teams that are kind of caught in the middle. And so he broke down all 30 teams. And with the White Sox, he said they are definitely willing to trade both Luis Robert and Garrett Crochet. So I ask you, both, one, or none will be dealt by the trade deadline. And if they are on the move, what's the perfect fit?
I'm going to say one. I feel like both of them being traded at the trade deadline seems a little bit too much. I mean, kudos to the White Sox if they do that. I think it probably is the right move for where they're at in the organization. But it seems to me like I'll say one. And I'll give you, if there were both to be traded, I think I have a couple good landing spots for both of them. Garrett Crochet, I think he will look great in San Diego. I think they're a match for some starting pitching help. So I think that's a fit. And then Lou Bob I had a little bit more fun with. I think there's a couple teams. At first I was like, man, like I know Cedric Mullins is there, but like I think like Baltimore would be like a really cool landing spot for him. And maybe, they have a lot of prospects to go get a guy like him. But then I started to look at like the salary. Like he's going to be making some pretty big coin coming up here. So $20 million in the team options.
Yeah, but if you can keep him healthy, $20 million for
it's
Louis
still
Robert
that's it's a lot of money, Chris. I think. I mean, look, I think he can be worth it, obviously, and that and more. But I think there's a team with a window that kind of sets up with what he has left on his contract, and a team that's not afraid to spend money. That's the Philadelphia Phillies. They're looking for a center fielder they can provide some offense. And think about the length of that lineup. If you have a healthy Lou Bob in there, if he was to go to Philadelphia, imagine that entire crowd going Lou, like it would be awesome.
I had him possibly with Philly, and I think that he's the one who's more destined to move for a few reasons. Number one, if he does stay healthy, he's a dynamic baseball player on both sides of it, and he can still run a bit. I know he's coming back from that hip injury, but look, a guy takes 2 months off in his first game back, boom, a clutch homer late in the game. I don't know. I got to be honest with you. As much as I love watching Crochet pitch, if I'm a team that wants to win this year included, I don't know if Garrett Crochet is the guy I want because he is right now thrown the most innings he has as a professional in any season. You have to remember, this is his first year as a starter at the highest level of baseball. So he has already hit not an innings limit, but the most innings he's thrown in a year. Do I have to baby him the second half of the year? Is it possible he could fall off a cliff? So, yeah, he still has several more years of control. I think that he's not a free agent until after 2026. So you're getting him not only for this clutch run, but for all of 25 and 26. And we've seen how dominant he can be.
I think he'd cost more than Luis Robert as well, just because of the salary that he'll be making.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. The other places I would say with Robert, who's got an 825 career OPS, Atlanta. I think there's a possibility there now with the Acuna injury. I think the Dodgers would definitely think about it.
I was going to say Dodgers, but I always give the Dodgers as a trade destination.
I know, but I think it's a real possibility.
It's realistic, yeah.
Philly, we mentioned they've got 5 of the top 100 prospects out there, so it sounds like a good match, possibly from the White Sox side of things.
Yep.
And then 2 other teams I would keep my eye on, although the salary would scare me. Cleveland, and I know it's hard to trade in your division, all that sort of stuff, but I think a real possibility would be the Cincinnati Reds. They've got so many young players that are right there, and a few more that are up and coming, that the White Sox might say, okay, let's figure something out here.
The bottom line is, if you have a center fielder that can hit, he fits on almost any roster.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's like, you pick and choose what you want. I really think I would like to see him in Philadelphia. I think that's the best fit.
That would be really, really interesting. By the way, 2 other things from the Cubs-White Sox game. First of all, the way it ended. The White Sox brought up a 26-year-old kid named Duke Ellis, who is a speedster. I think he was like 36 of 37 in stolen bases. He came on as a pinch runner and was the tying run in the top of the 9th. Gets to second base after his first show steal, and he gets picked off. I felt so badly for him. To his credit, he went out and he met the media, and he was like, listen, I screwed up. I was trying to get a little more daylight there so I could easily score on a base hit. The Cubs took advantage of his inexperience. I just felt like that's probably the worst way that your show debut can go.
I get it. I mean, I feel bad for him too, but you kind of have to expect that. Like the Cubs infielders had to be chomping at the bit right there. Like, let me see what we can do here.
And the other thing is, during the rain delay, like, does anybody else get panicked when they see the grounds crew come out and one of those dudes ends up under the tarp? Like, am I the only person?
What's going to happen to him?
Well, that's a heavy tarp. That's not like a little baby blanket.
No, you can just run out from underneath it. He's fine, Chris. I mean, I worry about like ligaments and stuff like that, like, falling down. But if you're under the tarp, it's not like you're like suffocating or anything. He's all right.
Are we sure about that?
I'm sure about that. There's oxygen. We should do that one day. Let's get a tarp out and put you under it.
No, man. I would have the biggest anxiety attack would be over. Like, even if I was supposed to be physiologically fine, I would cause my own death.
Okay. So let's not do that then. Let's just keep you alive.
Please. All right, let's move on to this. Pirates hold off the Dodgers 1-0. Great starting pitching matchup. Our guy Glass now on the wrong side of a 1-0 loss because Jared Jones was just incredible. Like, the pitch he threw to Shohei, one of his bazillion miles an hour. This shot is just, that's insane. By the way, Paul Skeens goes tonight. Now, these 2 rookies are certainly not the most accomplished 1-2 duo, but I ask, because of the velocity, does it make them the most daunting 1-2 punch in baseball?
I'm going to say no, but the fact that we're even having this conversation, I think, speaks volumes about the future of these 2 guys. I think that they definitely are up there. They have the stuff, and I don't think anybody in the big leagues wants to face these guys right now. I mean, you're curious, so like, you want to see it. You always want to face the best, but like, if you're looking to get some knocks, these guys aren't exactly what you want to be seeing on the hill. But there's a lot of really good 1-2 punches in the big leagues right now. You can point to Ranger Suarez and Zach Wheeler. You can point to Shohei and Glass now when Shohei comes back in his pitching. I think one that we're really going to want to see, and I got a taste of it, firsthand last night. Luis Heel and Garrett Cole, when they're pitching together, is going to be something. So I'm not ready to say that they're the most feared or most daunting duo, but they are in the discussion. And again, we're talking about two rookies like this with not a lot of dirt on their spikes. It's pretty impressive to be able to say that.
So they have combined to throw the 13 fastest pitches of any major league starters this year.
I like watching like Jones and that big old leg kick, and he really uses his body so well. It's smooth, but it's powerful. It's fun to watch.
And it's really interesting. They got an arrogance about them already. Like in some of the answers that they have, I can imagine that would rub the opponent the wrong way. But it's, when Paul Skeens, before that start, his second start against the Cubs, somebody brought it up to him. Hey, they're going to get a second look at you in the last week or so. And he's like, great, good luck.
Good luck.
I mean,
when you got it, you got it. And you have to think like that, especially as a starting pitcher. I mean, that's what most of the guys think like, but he just has the stuff to back it up too.
When you're facing that sort of velocity, I've had a bunch of major leaguers, and I think probably including yourself, who says it's not the velocity that bothers you so much. So what is it that seems to separate these guys from other dudes who just throw really hard?
Well, it can be the velocity. I mean, when you're pumping triple digits, it is mostly the velocity and the the reaction time, but it's kind of just how it comes out of the hand. If they hide the ball well or there's some motion going all over the place to take your eye off of the release point. It's just all different. Some guys throw a heavy 100, some guys throw a real light straight 100, and I don't think these guys, either of them, throw like a light ball, if you will. I don't really know how to explain that. I mean, you could probably chop it up to some spin rate and some spin axis stuff like that, but when you're at the plate, there's just a difference between some guys and the way they throw hard. It looks different. It feels different when you make contact with the ball. All of that stuff.
I believe it's 1L Dragon in the chat, according to our awesome intern Tommy. He says that Jared Jones and Glasnow, one of the better hair competitions for starters. Good call on that.
Okay.
Speaking of which, did you see the stat last night that in Glasnow's last 5 starts,
yes,
the Dodgers have not scored a run while he is physically in the game?
That's insane for an offense like that. Like, what are we doing? Dodgers, what are you doing, baby?
They brought it up to Tyler in the post-game interview, and he was like, no, I didn't know that. And he goes, and his answer was, baseball's hard. He goes, in the beginning of the year, I felt like they were scoring like hundreds of runs for me. So he goes, it's not a big deal. I will, I'm having him on the Rose rotation. I'll record the episode tomorrow. I am going to bring that up to him.
Did I miss a duo? I feel like I got the good ones. Suarez, Wheeler. I said Cole and Heel. I said, who else did I say? Glasnow, Ohtani. We can put Glasnow in.
Yeah, I mean, it depends if you're doing guys that are healthy, because obviously Ohtani's not healthy, but Max Fried and
Sale.
Spencer
Strider. Yeah. Okay,
or Fried and Sale right now. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones. It's just these guys, seeing them I wonder if seeing them on back-to-back nights is better for an offense or worse.
I asked Chapman about him. He's said he's legit. Like it's not fanfare. It's nothing like he in the box. He's legit. He looks like an ace in the first. I mean, if you watch him pitch, you know, like the stuff is there. Like this guy's a front of the line starter, one of the best in the big leagues already.
The last thing I want to get to is that the Dodgers, and certainly Aroldis Chapman, who was on the mound in the 8th inning, thought that maybe they got the lead. Teoscar Hernandez with the drive, and Chapman throws his mitt like the little leaguer and throws it, and the ball barely got to the track.
I mean, he knew that ball got touched. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what the wind was doing or what the air density was or anything like that, but that seemed like it should have been a homer, and it just wasn't even freaking close.
Dude, we've seen that a couple times in the playoffs, and didn't Eduardo Rodriguez did it with the Red Sox against Puig in the World Series, right? He threw his mitt.
Hey, sometimes we get these balls too. Like maybe that was like a 2020 ball. When was that season where there was a mixed bag of balls? Was it the 2020 season, postseason?
Yeah, might have been 2020.
And you see guys and they would be like, boom, and they just walk like they just hit a homer and it wasn't even close. And they came out and said, yeah, they're using two different types of balls.
Well, there's a lot of fans, if you go scour the internet, that really believe that the ball's dead this year. A lot of
I
them.
mean, offense is down big time.
Yeah, so it could be. I mean, come on, Aroldis. All right, we got much more show coming your way, but first, Trevor Plouffe, take it away.
All right, let me give it a second right here. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. It finally feels like baseball season. Yeah, it's a little early to start looking at the standings and scoreboard watching, but it's never too early to get in all of today's action at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's super easy for first timers to get started. You can try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your squads, and place your first bet. It's that simple. If you're new to DraftKings, new customers can get a no sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5 and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code baseball today. That's code baseball today, all one word, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
All right, Plouffe, good work. Now let's take you to the Twins and Yankees. Sorry about this, but there's a lot we got to talk about. Yanks remain tied for the best record in baseball after taking the series opener against the Minnesota Plouffians and former Minnesota farmhand Luis Gil. How many times?
It's tough to call him that. It's tough to call him that. He's in the Dominican Summer League. He was hurt at the time they traded him. He was like 18 years old. I don't think it's one of those things where obviously the Twins would want him on the team, but come on.
Does that make you feel better, though, that explanation?
I think a little bit. I mean, they got a couple good years out of Jake Cave. I know it looks terrible now.
Come on, man. We got a couple good years out of Jake Cave.
Two good years out of Jake Cave.
Did he ever have a 7-game run like we've seen out of Luis Gil?
Look, I get it, man, and I feel like I'm being a homer a little bit, but yeah, Luis Gil's absolutely filthy, bro. Yeah,
okay.
It sucks watching him do that.
All right, so what is the more impressive stat?
Okay.
That Gil is just the second major leaguer since 1913 to now have a 7-start span with an ERA under 0.65, at least 50 strikeouts and fewer than 15 hits allowed, or that Anthony Volpe and Aaron Judge are the first set of big league teammates in more than 2 decades to each have an on-base streak of at least 30 games. I know that's a lot of numbers. Follow us.
I'm going to go with the Luis Gil thing. What he's done on the mound is nasty, and I was trying to figure out a game plan against him. I'm watching the game, calling the game last night, and I was like, maybe you just got to give the inside part of the plate to him. The changeup is too good. You can't hit that thing fair. And he's got the plus velocity there, so you want to get him out over the plate, but then he's got the slider that kind of, humbles you a little bit. I mean, just watching him pitch, there's really no good way to game plan because he throws all 3 of those pitches, a good chunk of the time. He's not a 2-pitch pitcher. He really is a 3-pitch pitcher, and he's just wild enough. That's kind of the knock on him is he'll walk some guys. But I think that works to his advantage. You can't ever get comfortable in that box, Chris. You can't say, man, this is exactly where he's going to be. And you see, it's just very hard to square him up. And that's the reason I believe on the year, or at least I think he's given up 22 hits total on the year or something like that. And this is, through a bunch of starts, 11 starts or something like that. So whatever you just said about Luis, all those numbers you just said, I'm very, very impressed with him and all of his tattoos, that neck tattoo. Him and Glaber have the same neck tattoo.
They got a
Groupon. A Groupon, yeah. Is Groupon still around? I used to use Groupon. I took Olivia out to lunch one time with a Groupon when we first started dating.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Did you tell her that?
Yeah, I didn't care. Well, you can't use a coupon?
Not on a date where you're trying to impress somebody. Hell no.
Dude, I'm impressive on my own. I don't need, come on.
Wait a second.
Let's just put this out in the world, right? It's okay to use coupons, people.
It is, totally, but not if you're a first-round bonus baby pick.
I mean, why not?
Come on.
I got to go because I played good ball in high school. I got to pay full price for everything. That sounds
Where'd you take her?
Ludicrous.
Where'd you take her on your first date?
It was like an Indian restaurant in Northridge. It was delicious.
How early in the relationship was this?
Pretty early.
Yeah.
You have to remember, Olivia was 19 and I was 21 or something. So we were young kids.
Oh my God, you were just babies.
Babies. Yeah. And look at us now, man.
Holy smokes.
You can use coupons, people.
I know. I don't have a problem with coupons.
Sounds like you do.
No.
Hey, guys, Chris Rose wants to pay full price.
Not true. I do end up paying. In fact, I usually pay more than full price. Is the way I roll. Holy smokes! I got to tell you,
Answer
you
the
don't even
question.
care. You don't even care where I met Michelle and stuff.
In Reno.
Yeah.
I know that.
Okay. It's a good story, but
I think you've told it on this show before.
maybe I'm so old I forget.
You're so lucky.
Oh, I know I am. All right, so let's continue with more Luis Heel stats, if you care. First Yankees pitcher with 7 straight starts of at least 6 innings pitched and 1 or fewer runs allowed. The last rookie to win all 7 of his starts in which he accomplished that was Fernando Valenzuela in 1981. And we have talked on this show about Fernando's ridiculous start that year. Everybody's friend Sarah Langs had another stat. 153 batting average against is the lowest for a pitcher through 19 career starts in the live ball era. Is he really that hard to hit?
You just can't square him up, Chris. It's really good, and everything kind of looks the same coming out of his hands. I have it's 30 hits in 69 in the third innings pitch, so he's averaging 3.9 hits per 9.
5 hits or less in 7 straight starts. The first pitcher since 1901 to accomplish that.
You got to really, I don't know. I was trying to figure out a game plan against this guy last night, live time watching him. And I thought like that's probably the way you have to approach it, especially if you're at Yankee Stadium. Give him the inside part of the plate and just hunt outside and maybe fastball slider. Try to take the changeup. The changeup's too good. I think his changeup's his best pitch.
Amazing. It really is amazing. And Garrett Cole last night, obviously his first rehab start went very well. I believe he pitched into the 4th inning. He said everything was great. He felt great. Everything was working, all that sort of stuff. The return isn't days away, but it is going to be very soon. Clark Schmidt, of course, just went on the injured list, so they won't have any sort of major decision to make in the near future. But once Schmidt is healthy, it'll be interesting to see how they juggle that rotation.
You talk about Crochet and his innings limits. What are they going to do with Luis Heel? I really am curious about that, not just because he shoved it against the Twins last night. I'm just, what do you do with him? Do you shut him down for a month and say we need you in October? You can't do that, but like, what do you do?
Yeah, I think that there's ways to manipulate it. It'll be interesting that Aaron Boone, I keep hearing, is on our media company every Tuesday.
Piggyback, right? You can just do 3 innings a start for him or something like that.
You can. But remember the Jabba rules? Were you around for the Jabba rules?
I don't remember them, but I was.
So it was, for people that don't remember, Jabba Chamberlain was a big-time prospect with the Yankees, and they couldn't exactly figure out how to manage his innings. So toward the end, they're like, okay, well, he can pitch 3 innings. And it ended up being a disaster.
Yeah.
Kind of. It just, none of it worked. He wasn't the most efficient that he could be. So, yeah, I mean, it is something that the Yankees have to deal with. And as great as they have been, and they have been phenomenal, virtually every part of their game, they haven't put any distance between themselves and the Orioles.
No.
In fact, let's get to the Orioles. More impressive storyline. Baltimore crushes Toronto, guaranteeing them at least a split, which means they haven't lost their last 20 divisional series matchups. That's the longest stretch in baseball history since divisional play began in 1969. Or Cleveland came back from 5-0 against Seth Lugo for its 15th come-from-behind win as it takes a series opener against Kansas City.
I'm going to go with Cleveland and the come-from-behind wins because those are the wins that really get you going as a team, to make you believe that in any game you're in it. It doesn't matter if you're down, and it doesn't matter who you're facing. If you've shown the ability to come back late in games, that's kind of all you need. And it's not just that. I mean, this team has just played great baseball all year long. Chris, their lowest winning percentage in a month is .640. That was in April when they went 16-9. They're 6-2 in extra inning games. They're 11-6 in 1-run games. They're 12-4 in blowouts. Like, they just are winning baseball. So I got to go with Cleveland here. I think they have 4 walk-off wins as well. Like, they are, they're doing it in a way that I don't think anybody, including yourself, could have imagined at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, for me, the most shocking thing about the Guardians is that they lead the American League in runs scored. And I didn't think that there was any way that could happen. There are shortcomings with this team. I'm not wearing Guardians colored glasses and just saying they're perfect, they're ideal, but they are different. And I know that you're not big on managers, but they could not have handpicked a better replacement for a future Hall of Famer in Terry Francona. I had the chance to visit with the team and with Voter a couple weeks ago when they were out in Anaheim, and there is just a relaxed feeling around still a very young team. There was one play in particular that kind of summarized who they were last night, and it was on the 3-run error by Bobby Witt, who crushed 2 homers. It totaled more than 900 feet, I think. There's 2 down, the bases loaded. Fry hits a bouncer. You saw Josh Naylor beat Bobby Witt Jr. to the bag at second. He beat him to the bag, which meant that Witt had to kind of recoil and throw. He should have just made the throw to first. He said it afterward. Everybody who watches baseball knows he should have done that. But it was Naylor's hustle, his secondary lead, and then his ability to bust it down the line. For a big man, he really moves well. But more importantly, this is the second time in a week where Josh Naylor has kept an inning alive with his hustle. He did it last week. It led to a David Fry 3-run homer, I think, on the next pitch. And it's just, when you're a team that doesn't have a big payroll and requires everybody to do every little thing in every game and treat every game like it's October, it's meaningful. It adds up. And that's probably what helped them win the game last night.
Yeah, those are things that get spoken about in spring training. We're going to run the bases aggressively. We're going to take that extra base. We're going to, hard 90s all year long. And then you get to the season and it just becomes an afterthought until something happens. Then maybe a manager says, oh, we got to play harder. But if you're consistently doing it, there's a reason you talk about it in spring training. You always say, this could win you a baseball game. And the Guardians are like living proof of that right now.
Mm-hmm. It's just the third time in franchise history they've won 40 of their first 60 games. 95 team that lost to the Braves in the World Series. 99 team that was really good but ended up losing in the divisional round to Pedro Martinez in Boston that year. Real quickly with the O's, do they have a factory where they just build studs that they drafted in the first 3 rounds? Because Connor Norby was another one. I want to give him some credit. His first major league hit went over the wall. So that's great for him. He said it was his best moment of his baseball life. Kid, I would certainly hope so. But seriously, I think he's a former second rounder. Every time I turn around, they've got another guy from the first 3 rounds that's just up here.
Yeah, I mean, their scouting department has to be, looked at. I don't know what they're doing differently than any other organization, because really when we talk about the draft in like general terms, we say, oh, it's a crapshoot. Like, you don't know. Like, go ahead. Like, really, if you go look at your team's draft boards over the last 10 years, you're going to recognize 10 names. The Orioles have not missed since like 2017 or something. I'm being serious. Go look at their drafts, especially the first and second rounders. They just have not missed.
It's incredible.
And that's why they are where they're at. That is the reason. It's not any other reason. It's that they've hit on those guys. And now they're all here.
I still think that they're going to make some sort of big trade this summer. And I think
center field.
Okay. I don't know exactly who it's going to be. I still think there's a big piece in the back end of the bullpen that can help them.
I think another starting pitcher.
I agree there. But whatever it is, I think it'll be fascinating to follow the return of the trade.
There's so many guys they can give up. They have so many trade pieces right now.
Yep, they do. All right. I know it's going to be scorching hot out here in LA over the next several days. It's getting warmer around the country. That means you need to fuel up. You need to be ready to go, and that's where our friends at Factor can help pitch in. They have no prep, no mess meals. They are chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart and Protein Plus and Keto. You just pop them in the microwave in 2 minutes and 2 seconds, because I poke it with the fork, and I'm kind of weird, so I have to set it at 2 minutes, 2 seconds. They're ready to eat. 35 different meals, more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week. You'll always have new flavors to explore. So they're going to take care of your entire day, all the way from when you first wake up at breakfast till the time you're ready to say goodbye to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, some shrimp, some blackened salmon. I love it for lunch in the middle of the day. That's the time where I've usually open the fridge or go in the pantry and just eat crap. But no, when I have ordered my Factor and it arrives, I'm taken care of, and I feel full until it's time for dinner. So head on over to factormeals.com/baseball50. Use that code baseball50. You're going to get half off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. And don't forget about our Factor question of the week. Please get it in by Thursday night. We've been on a great run. Y'all have been doing your homework and challenging us and making us laugh. So get it in by Thursday night so we can put it at the end of Friday's show. We will announce your name and make you the most famous person in your zip code, bar none. A couple of famous people, footballers, not footballers, but NFL players, a couple of studs. C.J. Stroud, Micah Parsons of the Texans and Cowboys, respectively, been hanging out. I believe they went overseas, Tokyo, do a little goodwill tour over there. They actually had a baseball discussion. Listen.
We played in 162 MLB games, 5 at-bats every game. How many hits do you think you could get?
I think I get about 200.
No. The pitchers are not good. You might get 25, 30.
162. That ain't right.
Penn State education, his math is terrible.
Hold on, let me do the percentages because I think I meant like I can go about 200.
Oh, he's crazy.
Like average
oh
200.
You're gonna average 200?
Like in a season, like I have.
We're gonna get you an Astro jersey.
So that's Micah Parsons, the all-pro linebacker of the Cowboys, who's saying he could hit 200 if he played a full season. And C.J. Stroud, quarterback of the Texans, like, you're crazy. So let's play it out. Let's say an elite athlete who doesn't have a baseball background, and I checked.
Oh, doesn't have a baseball background.
Does not have a baseball background. I don't think he did. Certainly the way he was talking.
Oh, so you're talking specifically Micah Parsons for this question.
Like a Micah Parsons type, elite
Okay.
athlete. If you gave him a little bit of training, let's say he could have all of spring training and then plays the full season.
Okay.
What would he hit?
And you get a full season of bats. We're going to batting average right
So
now.
let's say he'd have 550 plate appearances. What's his batting average?
I think it might be less than 100, Chris.
Might be.
Yeah. Like I'm just thinking, like, I mean, training, like he'd get the best instruction. We'd get him in the best shape possible. Yeah, because that's 50 hits. And there's no way he's gonna get 50 hits.
No way.
So yeah, it's in the O's. So I'm gonna say maybe 50.
Let's even play this. How many hits do you think if he had 550 plate appearances? How many hits do you think he could get?
I'm not great at math, so I'm gonna go. I think maybe like 10.
Yeah, maybe.
But you're talking about full of defenders, not just a StatCast hit. We got real deal major league defenders out there.
Yes,
like maybe 10.
Right. I think he maybe some swinging bunts. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean that would be his best chance, swinging bunt or a blooper. But like, I think if you're a third baseman and a first baseman, you're probably playing in. So like those swinging bunts aren't there.
I would even give him this: that you're not allowed to play bunt defense against him.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a lot, man. It's just a different type of thing. I mean, you can't out athlete when you're at the plate. You just can't.
Dude, these pitchers would make him look so silly.
He give up was what would happen.
I stood in. Now, granted, I was a terrible baseball player and stopped playing in 9th grade, but at least I've been around the sport, so stuff doesn't shock me. I got to stand in at a Clay Buchholz bullpen one day at Fenway Park, and I just saw the way the ball was moving, and I said, Clay, how fast were you throwing? He goes, maybe 89. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, 89. I was like, God dang it. I was like, I was terrified in there, just standing there.
And then if you got hit one time, that would change everything too. He would just not want to be in the box. I don't know. This guy's probably taking a lot of hits too.
Yeah,
so maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. But it wouldn't be a lot. It wouldn't be a lot, Chris. It'd be very tough. Very, very tough.
Hey, but CJ Stroud, thank you very much for playing the smart role there.
I'm a big CJ Stroud fan. He also had another clip talking about my buddy Matthew Stafford, and he says he thinks that he's the guy, and he studies film pretty much solely on Matthew Stafford.
He does lose points, however, when he said he would rather have Eli Manning's career over Aaron Rodgers.
There's a lot of Aaron Rodgers hate around right now.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a guy who's he's young. He's awesome. I don't know if people...
He's saying because he's got 2 Super Bowls to Aaron Rodgers 1?
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
It's not fair. Aaron Rodgers is put together. You can say whatever you want about Aaron Rodgers and what you think of him.
These guys only care about Super Bowls, bro.
Not true.
Quarterbacks only care about Super Bowls.
No, because then you can go back to the Dan Marino.
I'm just saying, I think if you asked any quarterback, they'd rather be Eli Manning than Dan Marino.
Oof.
I'm telling you, man, that's what they care about.
I'm going to bring that up with Justin Pennick on the next football.
Ask him.
I will.
Eli Manning, by the way, great post-career success as well. So I think Eli Manning is a great answer for a quarterback.
No, Aaron Rodgers, the future host of Jeopardy, among other things.
He's not.
All right, we're back at it again on Thursday. We're going to try for 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Does that sound right? Okay, great.
Or earlier, depends. We'll talk.
All right. Well, keep having fun out there, and
I'll try. Let's go, Twins.
Okay, go get them, Yanks. We appreciate the help there. Speaking of help, thanks to our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our amazing intern, Tommy Young. That is the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Thursday on Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor